Thank you, Kathy. Well, the theme for the month of January, I mean, I'm still really in October, but the theme for this month is Spirit is Calling. And I always like to do a Back to Basics series in January. Many of our Centers for Spiritual Living do that in January, where we talk about the teachings of Ernest Holmes. And we usually also talk about the first 4 chapters of the Science Mind textbook. But there are 5 Sundays in January. And so before that, I wanted to go even more basic and talk today about intentions rather than resolutions. Intentions rather than resolutions. So how many of you set New Year's resolutions? Yeah, I think we all do. Even those of us, and I've been one of these people who I'm not setting a resolution. I always break them. It's not. But I still kind of in my mind know what I want to have happen in the next year. And so while I may not write it down or proclaim it to the world, I have a resolution. But I got to thinking about the difference in the word between resolution and intention. And when you look at how it's used, if you just look at it in the dictionary, there's not a lot of difference between the 2 words. But in our common usage of the word resolution, it generally happens when something's wrong and we want to fix it. Congress usually only passes a resolution when they're trying to change something. And of course, Abraham Lincoln and the Gettysburg Address, we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain. Something's wrong here and we're resolving to change it. And I think that that's how we approach many of our resolutions when we make New Year's resolutions. We're unhappy about something in our life, and so by God, this is the year we're going to change it. We're making a resolution. Well, I'm going to invite us all to think about, instead of a resolution, setting a different intention. Because an intention doesn't have any history to it. I love the quote that Deb read. It's process. It's present-oriented. The intention is to be different, not to fix something in the outside world. Because when we look at things from the outside in, we've got it backwards. We need to set an intention of how we be in the world, and then everything flows from that. So, in order to shift our thinking a little bit from resolutions to intentions, I want us to first start with the idea that nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong with any of y'all. You're all whole, perfect, and complete. We hear this in New Thought all the time, but I want us to go a little deeper today and not just say, oh good, nothing's wrong, but really feel that. Really feel, what if there's nothing wrong in your life? What if? What if you have all the money you need, you're in the right relationship, you're at the perfect weight, you're exactly in shape as you need to be. What if nothing's wrong? What would you want if nothing's wrong? So many of our desires come from the need to fix something. I don't think we really even remember what it's like to have a pure desire, just from that God self within us that's bubbling up and causing us this excitement and intensity, because it will bring us joy, and we will know that by having this we will express and experience more God. That's a true desire. But many of us let our needs dictate our desires. Well, I desire $1 million, I desire a new car, I desire a new job, I desire a new house, I desire a new life, I desire a new boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, spouse, body, whatever. That all comes from a premise that there's something wrong with the one we've got. Thank you. And we want something different. But what if nothing's wrong? What is that God life in you calling you to be or to do if nothing's wrong? If everything that you wanted and needed was provided, and you knew that, because that's actually the spiritual truth, but if you knew that and you operated from that place of being, what would your intention be? There's a great Buddhist story. For those of you who've been hanging around here for a while, Robert Anderson also has a song on this that he sings, but there's a great Buddhist story about the farmer. So there's a farmer, and one day his old horse dies. And all of his neighbors go, oh my God, what a tragedy. And the farmer goes, well, we'll see. And then a couple days later, a wild horse wanders into his pasture, and he's able to capture the wild horse and start feeding it, and the wild horse stays around. And all of the villagers go, "Oh, this is awesome, what good fortune." And the farmer says, "Well, we'll see." And then one day the farmer's son is out with the wild horse trying to break it, and he gets on and tries to ride it, and the horse bucks him off, and his son breaks his leg. And he can't help around the farm, and all the villagers are like, "Oh my God, what a tragedy." He says, "Well, we'll see." And then while the son is recuperating with his broken leg up in a cast, a war breaks out, and the emperor's soldiers come through, and they're drafting all the able-bodied men. But they don't draft the farmer's son because of his broken leg, and everyone says, "It's a miracle." And the farmer says, "We'll see." We could go on. But there's nothing wrong. There was nothing wrong in any of those situations other than how we judge it or label it. But what if we lived our lives as if nothing is wrong? There's nothing wrong with us. We aren't too anything or not enough anything. We are exactly as we're supposed to be. We are exactly as God put us here to live this divine human expression right now. And the way that we are to express and experience more God is to get in touch with that place within us that is always calling us, sometimes in frustratingly vague ways, but always calling us to do or be or feel more in alignment with Spirit. If we knew that, if we knew nothing was wrong, what would be our intention? What would be our intention? Which leads to the next thing, which is we have to dream big, because I can guarantee you that that power that created the world did not put you here just so that you can make 10 cents more an hour. That is not your dream. Your dream is not an extra 100 square feet. Whatever it is, that is not your dream. Somewhere along the line, someone told you that was all you could expect, and so you might think that that's your dream, but if your dream doesn't scare the crap out of you, it is not big enough for you. I think we ask ourselves all the time, am I big enough, or am I good enough, or am I enough for this thing I want? I want you to flip that on its head. Is this thing you want big enough for you?
That's right.
I have such a great cheering section over there. Thank you. Mr. Morley is on fire today. Is it big enough for you? What do you really want? Now, to ascertain how big your dream is, you're going to probably have to go back a lot of years. Not just 2 or 3, probably 10, 40, something like that. For those of you who are over a certain age. Because what happens is our well-meaning parents don't want us to get hurt. They don't want us to suffer the disappointment of not getting our dream. And so rather than teach us how to actually manifest what we want in our lives, because they don't know, bless their hearts, they dismantle our dream for us so that we won't be disappointed. And because we're children and can't kind of step back in a cognitive, rational manner and go, I don't think that's the truth, we buy it. So what we've learned is that when we get a dream, some of us feel that big dream coming through, and then we go, oh, downsize, 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 to one where we no longer have it take our breath away. But your intention should be big, because God's big. And we are here as emanations of God. Doesn't every major religion tell us we are God incarnate? Yes. So, do you think God decided to take form for a little measly pile of good over here? Or did God take form as you and me to express and experience the fullness of life? So dream big. Dream big. There's a great story. Those of you who remember the movie The Secret, it's in that, Jack Canfield tells it, but I love this story. He was a teacher making about $20,000 a year, and he had this dream for a much bigger life. And he kind of put a dollar amount to it, and he realized he needed to make about $100,000 a year to live the big life. Now this is in the mid-'80s, so 100,000 then was more than 100,000 now, although that's still not bad. But so he realized it had to be about $100,000, but he was making $20,000 a year. So he took a bill, like some green paper. There's no such thing as a $100,000 bill, but he took some green paper and he made something that looked like a $100,000 bill. And he taped it to the ceiling above his bed so that every morning when he woke up, he would see the $100,000. And at first, the dream took his breath away. That was more money than he'd ever even thought he could manifest. But what he noticed is that as he looked at that and he set his intention on this big thing, and he let go of all the resistance. He watched all of the chatter come up. You know, what makes you think you can? That's too much. That's wasteful. You don't need that much. Who do you think you are? All of that chatter. Did anybody else know what I'm talking about on that chatter? Anybody else ever experienced that, or is it just me up here? Yeah. So all that chatter came up. He saw it in bed, so he would just lay still and kind of get rid of that and just think about the life that he was trying to create with that $100,000. And he noticed slowly but surely little things started to happen. Like he met someone who suggested that he write a book that he'd been kind of thinking about, but he couldn't formulate the exact topic, so he wrote the book. And then he was able to distribute it. He got a network to distribute it, and one thing led to another. And then that year, he made $96,000. Now, his point is, do you think I was upset that I didn't make $100,000? No. He had gone from 20 to 96. So it was clear that his intention was in motion and working. But he had to set the big dream and let go of what was in the way. So then he decided, he's like, well, if I can do this with 100,000, can I do it with $1 million? So he made $1 million bill, put it up there. And it was within 3 years that he got his first royalty check from Chicken Soup for the Soul for $1 million. And it was the first $1 million check that publisher had ever written. And he actually shows a picture of it if you go to his website, or it's probably not there anymore because this is an older story, but he used to show a picture of it, and the publisher signed it, and on the signature line he put a little smiley face. But he dreamed big. He let himself dream big. So what's the big dream you want? You know, I always, whenever I talk about a life purpose, we all think we have a purpose out here, and I think we think that something out there is going to dictate it for us. That someone's going to come and say, you should be a teacher, or you should be an astronaut, or you should be a whatever, and that's your life's purpose. Everybody has exactly the same life purpose. There's only one life's purpose, and we all share it. And that is to experience God more deeply. Now, how you experience God, and how you experience God, and how you experience God are different. That's where the diversity of experience comes in. But we all have the same purpose. So find what that is for you and dream big, because they won't all be the same. And the world needs your dream. Your world needs your dream. That's how this universe expands. What if Steve Jobs had never dreamed up the iPhone? How many of you would no longer be able to text and drive? I mean, really? Wouldn't that be a tragedy? And then finally, we have to act as if. We have to act as if it's already happened. We can't dream big and then wait for something outside of us to tell us that it's going to happen. Because that's backwards. That's like going up to a wood stove and saying, as soon as you give me some heat, I'll put wood in you. It doesn't work that way. Because everything manifests through us. God works through us. This is the hardest thing for most people who were brought up in any sort of traditional religion to get. But there's no God out there. There's no God out there. God's in here. And everywhere present. God is that energy field. But it's like the water in the ocean that the fish swim in. It's part of their body. It's part of their molecular makeup. And there's nothing in the ocean telling the fish to go a certain way. It's part of who they are. And so we have to act as if we already have what we want and not wait for the external cues. Now that doesn't mean we won't get feedback. We will get feedback that we're on the right track. And then we will know that we're on the right track by that feedback. But it can't initiate from there. So we have to act as if we're already having it. Now, I want to say something where people sometimes who've been in New Thought for a while get into trouble on the acting as if. You have to act as if internally. So let's say that your intention, we'll use Jack Canfield's, is to have $100,000, make $100,000 a year. But let's say, just for argument's sake, that you're like Jack Canfield and you only make $20,000 a year. People get in trouble because they hear that they should act as if. And so they go out and they spend $72,000 that they don't have, get into debt, declare bankruptcy, and go, this stuff doesn't work. That's not the acting as if that I'm talking about. You have to wake up every morning and say, what would I do today if I had $100,000, recognizing that I don't? How would I feel? This is all about feeling. How would I feel? If I knew that I made $100,000 a year, would I put $1 in the Salvation Army bell ringers bucket, even though, I wouldn't otherwise? If I knew that that was coming, if I knew that I had that money, would I tithe? Would I give? How would I be? It's not about the actions you take in the world. It's about how you feel. So when I say act as if, what I really want to say is feel as if. Feel as if it's already happening. Dr. Joe Dispenza says, if you ever saw that What the Bleep Do We Know, he says that the way you meditate is that you sit down and you can't get up from the chair the same person that you were when you sat down, because you haven't done anything then. That's the acting as if. If you're living in a life that feels restricted or limited or conditional or fear-based or somehow lacking, and you sit down and meditate for 15, 20 minutes, and it turns into 20 minutes of consumed worrying, and then you get up and you're still fearful or lacking, you haven't acted as if. But if you get up with a renewed sense of purpose, and with a knowing that everything is provided for you, and with an idea that everything that you need is already present, and a shift in your consciousness to be able to see it, now you're acting as if, even though you have done nothing out there in the world. But that's where everything gets created anyways, in consciousness. So the acting as if has to be in consciousness, not necessarily the actions. Those will come next. So as we enter into 2017 here, in the baby hours of this new year, let's set intentions rather than resolutions. Let's throw the idea of resolutions away, because nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong. And I invite you to dream big. You don't have to know what that is today. You just have to know what the next big thing feels like. Then it'll lead you. But dream big. And ask yourself the question, is this dream big enough for me? And then act as if. Feel as if. Not out there in the world necessarily. That will come. That will be the manifestation. But feel as if. Feel as if you are the you want to be. And when that happens, everything that you want to manifest will start to show up in surprising and delightful ways. And those vague callings of spirit will get louder and louder. And you will suddenly, a year from now, be looking back going, what was I so worried about? Let's pray. So as we take the opportunity here on this first day of this first week of this first month of this new year, we just recognize that today is the day that we embrace a new thought. We embrace a new thought about who and whose we are. We recognize here that we are one with that divine power, that divine life called God, Spirit, Mother Nature, Father Earth, whatever you want to call it. We are one with that. And that this all-powerful presence, this all-powerful life, this all-powerful energy moves through us. It operates in us, uplifting us, embracing us, calling us to express and experience more of it, more good, more God. And so I recognize that the qualities of this life are the qualities that we are. Love, peace, all of the things Kathy sang in her song. passion, power, joy. We are one with that when we feel it. When we feel as if that is operating through us, it activates in us, and we move into the world in a new way. And so I claim that today is our birthday, our rebirth day. As we now understand the way the law works in a new and deeper manner. And so we move out into the world from this day, knowing that we truly are that pebble in the pond of consciousness, knowing that there is nothing wrong, knowing that our dreams are good and valid and necessary, and then feeling that way all the time, operating in our life from that place where we know we are one with something greater than we are, and it is always loving us and caring for us and providing everything we need. And so recognizing that this is the truth for each one of us, just accept this good here, now, not at some future date, not next New Year's Eve, but now, today, in this moment. It takes a second to shift our consciousness to see the good. So I accept that this is happening right here, right now, no exceptions. And with a heart filled with profound gratitude, I just accept this and I release it because I know it's already done. It is the way the law works. And so as we release, we know it is coming back to us fulfilled. And so I invite each one of us to anchor that deep in our being by saying together, and so it is.
Mm-hmm.